CBS News correspondent Scott Pelley that the crash was the result of the pilot doing unsafe stunts in violation of safety regulations. But the story does not end there. In tonight's Eye on America, correspondent Pelley has more about an out-of-control pilot and a hero co-pilot who tried to stop him.
The disaster was horrifying. 4 senior officers killed as their B-52 bomber crashes at Fairchild Air Force Base near Spokane, Washington. Incredibly, it was no surprise. Top Air Force pilots had fought for years to prevent this accident, but were ignored by senior commanders.
He continues his turn.
Today, the Air Force said the pilot caused the crash by performing forbidden aerobatic maneuvers in preparation for an air show. He was Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Holland, one of the most skilled flyers in the Air Force, but a man known to take terrible risks in a B-52. Often captured on home video, his flights pushed the bomber far beyond its limits. Too low, too steep. Junior officers complained repeatedly. But it was after this flight, when Holland cleared a ridge by 30 feet, that one officer decided he had to be stopped. Lieutenant Colonel Mark McGeehan, Air Force Academy graduate and squadron commander at Fairchild, demanded Holland be grounded.
The crews were extremely worried.
McGeehan's wife, Jody.
One of the aviators in the squadron was not a safe flyer, and they did not want to fly with him anymore.
But superior officers defended Holland, saying he was too senior, too experienced to be grounded. They refused McGeehan's request.
He more or less stood by the door and looked at his commander and said, "I just want to make sure that you completely understand me. I do not believe that he should ever be able to fly again."
So with his superior officer refusing to act, McGeehan did the only thing within his power. He ordered his men never to fly with Holland. If anybody had to go, he would. So Mark McGeehan was the co-pilot on the flight that day, as his wife and 3 sons watched.
As we were out there waving, the boys were screaming, "Dad," you know, as thinking for sure that they could see him as they were coming straight over the house.
Oh my God, no!
Everything sort of was slow motion, and I can more or less just remember turning and looking at the 3 boys, not hearing them, but seeing their mouths move and scream, "Daddy." But they all 3 took off running to go make it to their father.
Pilots who witnessed the crash knew the aerobatics were reckless, yet initially Air Force Secretary Sheila Widnall denied it.
The things we do in air shows are what we normally do in our training missions.
When Congress asked about reports of aerobatics, Secretary Widnall wrote, "The initial investigation found nothing to verify such speculative statements." Today, the Air Force Secretary is touring Asia, unavailable for comment. During 3 years of reckless flying, there was a succession of 10 senior officers at Fairchild who had authority over Holland. The report shows that these men covered for him. There are no official reprimands in his file.
Well, I would like to know what they are going to do with the senior leadership up there.
Charges are being considered against some officers. Today's report also praised McGeehan and 2 other crewmen on the flight.
All right! I'm proud for what my husband stood for. I'm proud of so many of the men and women that serve in the Air Force, but I am not proud of the senior leadership at Fairchild.
Today in Colorado, there is a memorial at McGeehan's beloved Air Force Academy, where he started his career by taking an oath never to lie or cheat or tolerate anyone who does. In New Cumberland, West Virginia, Scott Pelley for Eye on America.
And that's our news. Coming up.